Hello and welcome to another Hun's History Nest podcast, where history is enjoyed and salvaged forever. This podcast is on the Revolutionary War and its strategy. First and foremost, I'd like to draw to your attention the exclamation points that appear, as well as the question marks. Wherever there's a question mark, it means it's a disadvantage. Wherever there is an exclamation point, it means that it's an advantage. The overwhelming advantage at the start of this war, as seen up here at the top, undoubtedly goes to Great Britain. The key is going to be, how can the American colonies take such a tremendous advantage and diminish it or lessen it or render it obsolete so that they can possibly win this war. Now, at the start of this war, as seen here in the chart, the bottom line is that Britain is tremendously favored to win this war. They have a professional army, one of the best, if not the best in the world. They're very well supplied. They have a strong and very successful navy. So these are some tremendous advantages. However, the one thing I'd like you to note that we will go into quite a bit of discussion on here is this idea of leadership. They have tremendous leadership. However, it's very confident leadership. How can you make confidence something to your advantage? The Americans have no leadership at all. They need to find it. When you look at favored to win the war, there's also a positive that can perhaps come from being what we call the underdog, or the group that should not win. So how can you use confidence to your advantage? The other is this idea of fighting in a foreign land. Sometimes there can be some tremendous disadvantages to having fought in another land. And the bottom line is because you may have the advantage because you're fighting to protect your very own property and well-being. Here we see the plans of war. On the left, this is the British plan, and that is marked with red, as we see over here. And the American plan of war, as seen over here, is in blue. We're going to begin by, first of all, taking a quick analytical look at the plan of war for the British, which was made by their military leadership. Now, they're going to have to win this war and win it, as it says, quickly. They do not want this to turn into something that could take a long time. Therefore, their leadership made the decision that to win this war quickly, they would capture the large cities. Now, there are ultimately 5 large cities that they planned on capturing, and if capturing these 5 cities could occur in a quick manner, the belief is that they could conquer the American colonists very quickly. The British looked at the cities of Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Albany on the Hudson River, and Charlestown in South Carolina as the key cities to capturing the American colonies. They need to do it quickly, though, because finances are an issue. They're already in debt. They don't want it to become an unpopular war at home. They want to use their supplies to their advantage, as seen here. And they do not want the soldiers to get demoralized, meaning angered. And this could come about while you have a lot of loss in battles and so forth. The other thing is they're fearful that other nations may recognize the American colonies over time and actually give them assistance. So winning the war quickly is of the most urgent part of this plan. On the contrary, or flip side of this, is the plan that will be created by George Washington. And George Washington, and I like to call it the GW factor, he is perhaps, and I'm going to star this, this is the most important part of this entire war, is the George Washington factor. He is going to make his plan that of making it a long war, and we call this in the military realm a war of attrition. What this means is that you want to wear down your enemy. You want to fight a long war, intentionally make it last several years. And to do this, it may sometimes be to your benefit to fight it in a defensive manner, meaning you may lose a battle, or maybe 2 battles, but don't lose the war. Perhaps George Washington's greatest attribute as a person and as a commander was his ability to simply swallow his own pride, knowing that he can lose, but not lose the war. And this was something vital to the winning of the war for the American colony. The other thing that George Washington will employ and use, which was not highly regarded and respected by the English, is to fight in that North American manner that we have learned previously, known as guerrilla tactics, where you're going to hide and surprise your enemy. So stealth needs to be used. However, George Washington also is going to use the old European methods of fighting traditionally. So he's going to mesh together stealth and guerrilla tactics with that old traditional warfare. The bottom line here is George Washington knew that the longer the war, the better it was for him. And this ultimately is what I want us to see as the war plays out. These two plans, one against the other.